Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with a couple nerds today.
Nathan Nerdarch.
Ted.
Today we're going to tell you how to be a better battle mage.
Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter. It's a great way to get gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
Once again, we're delving back into the Trusty Player's Handbook, and we're continuing our series on war wizards and battle mages. We've already covered feats and combinations that maybe you didn't think of when creating this type of wizard or sorcerer or warlock or bard or eldritch knight or any of the above. Now we're going to look at, kind of who makes the best war wizards.
It's a very tricky question to always ask who makes the best, because number one, how is your campaign/encounter flow going? With our games, we tend to have very few encounters per session, so therefore the sorcerer, I think, is going to hit the hardest because they have the ability to use all of their sorcery points to make their spells hit harder and do more damage each time that they cast it, and they just get to fuel that back when they rest. Whereas if you're playing an encounter, or if you're playing a campaign where you have encounter before you're gonna get a rest, well, then the sorcerer is going to burn through their points and their spell slots faster, and they might get to the third encounter and be like, I got nothing, guys.
There's other considerations as well. When you look at the maximized spells known for a wizard, he caps out at 15.
You mean sorcerer?
Sorcerer, yes.
The wizard caps out at 25.
And throughout the day, the sorcerer has 15 spells known that he can delve into, where the wizard actually has access to way more spells than that, but only can, in a given day, access 25. He has to prepare them, right?
Correct.
But still, it's an extra 10 options on the table for the wizard, so he's going to have more variety. So where the sorcerer will come into a problem is, say his damage is themed, because he's draconic and it makes sense. It makes him more efficient, more effective using particular types of elements. Maybe he took element affinity, so again, it makes more sense. Well, if you encounter a creature that's immune to that element that you specialize in, you're just kind of pwned. That 15 spells known might drop down significantly, depending.
And most of those spells that are still usable are not going to be the damage spells that they chose.
If you're going to take offensive spells, you're a draconic sorcerer, it just kind of makes more sense. Or even the storm sorcerer as well. It makes more sense, and you get more bang for your buck by going in a particular direction. Where the wizard, even if he goes elemental, he still probably has a lot more options on the table. And if he knows something's coming up, it's a lot easier for him to go, oh, we're going into the tundra, and my cold theme spells probably aren't going to be as useful. Maybe I should go fire. So he kind of has that option to prepare. He can Batman that shit if he needs to.
Right. And again, that goes back to the whole situation of learning additional spells.
Yes, having access to spell books. The sorcerer tends to be the one-hit wonder and sprinter of the magic world, where the wizard is more of a marathon runner and more diverse. And not even getting into that, the wizard also has access to ritual spells without taking feats or anything like that.
Correct. There's not a significant number of spells to be useful that you could ritual into combat. It does say that it's other things that they can get around.
Yeah, well, they can instead of magic missile, they had to cast a detect magic. Well, ritualize detect magic. Well, then they've got that extra magic missile or shield when they need it.
Correct.
Yeah, not only that, but also looking at the idea, like in my mind, I think battle mages and war wizards, I instinctively attach them to certain cultures or armies, right? So I'm like on the battlefield. Before the war starts, or before the battle is joined, then those ritual spells become much more useful for spying and really knowing what you need to have access to.
That's true. Now, we mentioned that there are other classes that kind of get a mention. Now, you can be a bard and get into a spell duel. Now, the bard's real, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they really shine in an individual situation because they're going to attack your mentals. They're not known for being able to blast out loads of damage, but we've seen Kurt's first session where he's like, all right, it's a horde of people. Yeah, they're not going to bother us anymore.
Yeah. They do have some options.
Yeah, they're closer to like battlefield control rather than
Straight up
I'm
damage.
trying to turn you into charred bits on the ground.
And that being 5th edition has turned the bard into a full caster, where they're gonna have more access. There are some other ones like Warlock, but again, the problem with the Warlock is he's got 4 spells to use
At best.
and then he's done. So he does not actually make a good war wizard or battle mage at all.
And at higher levels, when he gets access to those high level spells, like once a day uses, they're not really like kill you, slay you.
Well, no, they are. But 6, 7, 8, 9. So you're talking about 8 spells and you're done.
Yeah.
For the day. For the day until you can take a short rest. And then you get back to those 4.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
In a protracted a siege or battle situation, now maybe like if they're able to keep taking short rests and they can pop off their 4 spells and then come back. But if you're talking about in the adventuring party, it's not going to stand up to the might of the wizard or the sorcerer.
They get through the first battle, and it's like, okay, guys, I need to take an hour nap. Come on, let's just take a break. Let's sit down, have some food.
And they're not coming back at full strength.
No.
Even doing some of their invocations where they get abilities that they can do at will, none of them are really bangy or boomy.
Well,
Yes.
I think what they kind of compensate for that is the force damaged cantrip that they start with, and that they can really boost up to be kind of crazy.
Yeah, well, you get Eldritch Blast, and you're going to be spraying that all over the place.
Yeah, that's
it's
kind
your
of
bread and butter.
I could swing my staff, or boom, 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 boom. Yeah, so that ends up being the go-to rather than all the cool different ways. You can only use that so many different ways.
Now, I'm pretty sure, like all the other classes too, when you get 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th level, you only get one spell slot as well. Like believe that's all balanced out.
Sorcerer gets 2 7th, 2 6th.
So the sorcerer and the wizard only get they get one more
6 and 7.
6 and 7, more power, stronger. But where the place where it's really going to shine is in those lower level spell slots when they have more access.
You got 4 first, 3 second, actually 3 through 2nd through 5th.
And with the ability to say, I need to do a lot of damage, so I'm going to bump up the spells that I can bump up, like turn a fireball into a more powerful blast, or heck, when you really just need to hit somebody with a magic missile, you just hit them with a ton of them.
Yeah.
That's 22 spells versus 8.
So the sorcerer, and the sorcerer's going to spread sorcery points around, whether they want more spell slots or they're maximizing, they're empowering,
They're twinning.
Mm-hmm. So they're a total nightmare in the short term on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Now, the Invoker, what they're going to be able to do is, or wizards in general, when you're talking about a 20th level wizard, they actually get 1st, 2nd, and 3rd level spells that they can just cast at will. While your other guys could get to the point where they might have to just use cantrips. Your 20th level Archmage, he doesn't do that anymore.
His cantrip is Fireball.
Yes.
Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
That's the type of 20th level powers I want.
Yeah, so that makes a big deal when you get up there. And then we're talking about Invoker, who has the ability to exclude his allies from his invocation spells. Mm-hmm. Super useful. And it's going to be like 5 of them when you get maxed out, unless you have an even higher intelligence than a 20. Then it's even more. So it's not a bad amount. And then, on top of that, their 14th level power to overchannel is pretty sweet.
Signature spells a little different. Choose 2 3rd level wizard spells in your spell book, and you always have them prepared. They don't count against the number of spells you have prepared. You can cast each one of them once without expending a spell slot.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. I was like, Fireball on Demand. That sounds way too powerful.
But it's the 1st and 2nd level spells that are the ones that you cast at will.
Spell Mastery at 18th. Yeah, without expending a spell slot when you have them prepared. So they count for your prepared, but they're 1st and 2nd level spell that you can just blast out.
Yeah, so shield at will.
Yes. my shield never runs dry.
Yeah, like your shield is just always on.
Oh, I guess that's a way to get around the abjurers thing.
Oh yeah. So that which brings us to
Oh yeah, so with the wizard, you've got the evoker, which is kind of the obvious choice. But then I was saying, well, the abjurer gets that arcane shield, arcane ward that it gets. Basically, as soon as it casts an abjuration spell, they get it double their level of wizard plus their intelligence modifier. So at 20th level, you're walking around with like probably a 45 hit point shield.
right.
And you can protect other people with it.
And basically, for that wizard, it makes no sense to not have that first level spell be shield
Yes.
that you can just cast all the time.
So the
Every
first
single round.
That being said, it does require your reaction. So like you
Yeah.
might want to do something else like counterspell.
So there are reasons why you wouldn't be casting shield every single round.
So I kind of see the Abjurer as like the rope-a-dope specialist of the battle mage. Being able to slap on 45 temporary hit points almost at will is a big deal, and that's going to make you last a long time.
Especially the fact that when you're high enough level, you can shield other people with it.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, no one's attacking me this round. All right, let's give you some buffer.
Now it charges kind of slow, but
Not if you're using shield every round.
well, you're only going to get 2 hit points back. It's only double your level. It doesn't just always come back. The first time you cast a spell, for the day, that's abjuration.
that sets the number.
Boom! It pops up, and then it lasts however long it lasts. If it goes to 0, you can basically
Heal it.
heal it back up by casting abjuration spells.
Okay.
Now it's not going to be a really war wizard, but if you were like the medic / abjurer, you can get away with doing abjurer cleric spells, and they will also boost it.
It's not specifically wizard.
Yeah, when you cast an abjuration spell, first level or higher. Now we were also talking off camera about could you ritualize a spell like alarm or something like that, and when you cast it, it counts as charging the shield. And I think we all said that basically because it doesn't say when you use a spell slot to cast it, but when you just cast a first level spell.
It does say, the way it's worded, if I ritual cast alarm, I can put 2 hit points into the spell.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any other abjuration ritual spells as well that would help you do it. And abjuration is one of the cool wizard schools that you're like, this ability would be so much better if there was more ways to heal the shield.
More spells that you'd actually cast as a wizard. Yeah.
We were talking off camera about, all right, well, do I just alarm everything? And we were saying, well, you could actually just be like, all right, well, I'm doing this ritual that while I'm targeting all these things with this spell, I'm really just refilling my shield.
Yeah, and it's going to take.
It's
going to take
meta.
like 20 minutes or something.
Well, it depends
But
upon
that being said, there's definitely spells, protection from elements or energy. I think it's protection from energy, protection from protection from missile weapons, or maybe arrows is where I forget. I don't know what the wording is in this edition.
There are spells available. They're just not. It's not like
the full.
evocation. I mean, evocation's
Yeah.
like, am I going to cast an evocation spell? Well, am I in combat and people hurting me? Yeah, I'm going to cast an evocation spell.
And I did find a lot of the abjuration spells also aren't concentration.
Yeah, that's a benefit.
So that's a benefit as well. You can put it on you. Maybe it's going to be useful. Maybe not. You can get those higher level spells where, what is it? It's double the spells level for the healing. So you cast a 3rd level spell, so it's like you
Boost your
get 6.
shield for 6, yeah.
So protection from energy, protection from evil and good, and protection from poison are all abjuration. Protection from energy is concentration. Protection from evil and good is concentration.
Abjuration
Okay,
is a good school for preparing, as well as when you're in battle. Every once in a while, getting hit with something nasty is not going to kill you. But yeah, I wouldn't be the face up in your face battle mage for the abjurer.
Yeah, you're not going to want to do that.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, still slapping on an extra 45 hit points.
yeah.
Shield.
It works.
45 hit points, getting 5 points to your AC. Those are awesome things to be able to do.
And how we said at later levels, shield is a first level spell, so you can put it in your spell mastery, and then
Essentially
you
be
can
able to do it for free.
Yeah, which still counts as casting the spell. So bam, you get your shield always gets refilled. Your arcane ward is what it's called. Always gets
Now,
refilled.
in an actual wizard battle, shield is not nearly as useful because there's not a lot of armor class involved. There's some spells, but not a ton.
Yeah.
But it will be
more saving throws.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot more saving throws. But it will be saying, "I laugh at magic missile. I eat them for breakfast."
Yeah, it always slaps down the magic missile.
Yeah, it just like removes that from the field.
Nope.
So there is that.
So, and I actually think that's kind of put in there for the, all right, hey, I'm the invoker. I take magic missile as my
First level
spell mastery. I'm the Abjurer. I take shield.
Yeah, you just cancel each other out, but not really, because the Abjurer would still have his spell for the round to cast as well. Mm-hmm. His reaction is the one shutting down.
Correct.
We discussed off camera a bit about the Sorcerer and what the Sorcerer can do. If he doesn't have to worry about the rest of the day. The Sorcerer has the advantage of being able to buff more than one person at a time, which the Wizard can't do it. I mean, no one else can do it.
Yeah, twin spelling is really great.
Yeah, for twin spelling. Haste is nice. I played a Sorcerer, and that was like one of my favorite things to do is, haste to your fighter allies. That's going to make them faster, give them better armor classes.
You can also blast out targeting spells that they have to target a single target. But,
yes.
I mean, getting 2 of them in one round.
2 disintegrates, 2 polymorphs.
2 fingers of death.
Boom.
Yeah, so there's definitely. I mean, you're gonna go through your sorcery points really quick,
but that's what the sorcerer kind of does. Use it all up as quickly as possible.
As you're talking about, as I say, blowing the load really quickly, you have the ability to cannibalize your spell slots into points or points into spell slots. That's their versatility. That's the way they can be like, all right, what kind of campaign are we doing? Oh, do I need to create more spell slots? No. Do I need to create more sorcery points? Okay.
Do I need to create more hurt?
And they have the nice add-on that with the Draconic origin, you've got all the benefits of picking one particular damage type.
Right.
Well, that's a double-edged sword, in my opinion. You put all your eggs in that basket. Like
picking fire is dangerous. Picking fire is dangerous for that. Unless you're hitting peasants with it and people in an army, you could run into some problems.
But at this, but at the same time, it's the most you have the most spells to choose from.
Yeah.
When you do it. Now, granted, there are some fallback spells that are helpful, like Chromatic Orb, where you're like, all right, like this can be my fire thing that I need all the time, or I can switch it up and make it something else.
Yeah, and I think you get a cantrip of all the types, so you've got.
Yeah, but you're gonna take Firebolt.
Well, Shock and Grasp, that's pretty good. Good against armored foes too.
Well, no. I'm saying if you're the Draconic type, you're going to take the one that has to do with your type.
Yeah,
so
well,
you get more damage.
Well, electricity is cool for that. They just don't have a second level of electricity spell. That's kind of the only beat thing about.
You have to go acid.
Yeah.
Second level.
Yeah. But then you don't have acid. Well, yeah, because you can do Chromatic Orb as acid, and they have
Melf's acid arrow,
and they have the cantrip for acid. So you get a good group.
And then you might get some more options in the Player's Companion for the different elements. I mean, it's kind of all about that, so that part is really useful.
Oh yeah, there's a lightning spell, a second level one in either the Skag or the Player's Companion.
There's also I think the Snowball spell gets reintroduced. You used it.
Luke's.
Yeah. So there's a cold spell.
Yeah.
Endure elements absorb elements is one of my favorites from that book as well.
And that's good for when you're getting attacked by another
element type,
and you also get to slam back some damage. So
yes, I've definitely used that. I've used it in the past for Uthengar to drop a fireball at my own feet and just take the damage. You take doesn't you don't actually have to take the damage, but making a saving throw, you're already taking half damage. You can take a quarter of the damage. And then you can up that spell to whatever spell slot you want to use, and then it becomes a die 6 of that energy type. Where it becomes against monsters not as useful, but against a spellcaster that's throwing spells, they're not generally immune to the type of damage they're dealing. So you're able to negate a bunch of it and then give it back. A good example would have been in one of our gameplays you guys seen, which I would have loved to seen Ted do this, but he's too nice. And that was when Scott Garrity challenged another wizard to a duel. who was much more powerful than him. I would love to see him just do, or endure elements every time that caster would try an elemental spell, and then just basically backhand them with the energy damage, from maybe from a higher level spell, where you could potentially do more damage. From the energy absorbed than the wizard was actually putting out. So there's another place for it, and I don't know if that spell is abjuration or not, which would be another nice way.
That would be nice if it was.
That's a nice one for the abjurer to go. So there's the differences between playing a sorcerer and a wizard. And granted, there are like honorable mentions where you could have fun with doing the battle mage type character, but at the end of the day, if you're going to do one, you might as well do it right. It's going to be a sorcerer or it's going to be a wizard, and you won't want. It just depends on whether you want somebody who can magically do the heavy lifting all day long, or if you want the one hit wonder who is going to devastate the battlefield for basically one or two encounters.
I'd give honorable mention to druids just because they can soak up a lot of damage with the transformations, with the wild shaping.
Yeah,
and
but if
some of their higher level damage spells are pretty nasty. They've got like earthquake, tsunami.
They do, and it's not a bad honorable mention. The only problem is they can't cast spells while they're wild shaped until the highest levels, and then you're still kind of restricted on which spells you can cast. Now, what they could do is they could cast a concentration spell like Call Lightning and then wild shape into a chipmunk and hide. Although you might want to turn into something that can absorb more damage.
The problem is though, when they wild shape, they become susceptible to the power words.
That only matters if you're in a wizard duel, or enemies on the field that can use them. Yeah, that is definitely a good place. That's the instant druid counter, because you zap all their hit points and they just die.
So, but I mean, you could also deal with the problem if you do something like a tiny creature that doesn't have a lot of hit points. Could someone just sleep you?
Yeah, because you're not losing your hit points.
Yeah. So there's a few ways,
There's a couple ways around that, where the druid is definitely has some things that gives me some food for thought for later. Later on when I'm DMing. Don't have any druids in my games, but that does. It's like sleep.
So if you want some ways of getting around the wild shape.
Now, then Calosaurus has got the beefy amount of hit points that David likes to do, but
not against power word kill.
But I'd already been aware of that one. I was looking to go a little bit more nice and do power word stun. But...
A druid versus another spellcaster's got to be wary of transforming into things. But I think for overall, if you're going to go throughout the day and be that type of fighting character, that that extra hit point soak is really good. Especially if you're really into it and you put on armor after you transform into something, or have someone assist you if it's a creature.
Barding.
Yeah, some kind of barding.
Barding on that huge gorilla.
But then you're still a druid, so you're still restricted in what you can wear.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
How do you guys handle mage duels and war wizards and whatever in your game? Put your comments down below. While you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Check us out at nerdarchy.com.
You can patronize us in a good way over on Patreon.
So until next time, stay nerdy.
Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy. 4 nerds by nerds. Hanging out with a couple nerds today.
Nathan Nerdarch.
Ted.
Today we're going to tell you how to be a better battle mage.
Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter. It's a great way to get gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
Once again, we're delving back into the Trusty Player's Handbook, and we're continuing our series on war wizards and battle mages. We've already covered feats and combinations that maybe you didn't think of when creating this type of wizard or sorcerer or warlock or bard or eldritch knight or any of the above. Now we're going to look at, kind of who makes the best war wizards.
Sorcerer is going to burn through their points and their spell slots faster, and they might get to the third encounter and be like, I got nothing, guys.
There's other considerations as well. When you look at the maximized spells known for a wizard, he caps out at 15.
You mean sorcerer?
Sorcerer, yes.
The wizard caps out at 25.
And throughout the day, the sorcerer has 15 spells known that he can delve into, where the wizard actually has access to way more spells than that, but only can, in a given day, access 25. He has to prepare them, right?
Correct.
But still, it's an extra 10 options on the table for the wizard. So he's gonna have more variety. So where the sorcerer will come into a problem is, say his damage is themed, because he's draconic and it makes sense. It makes him more efficient, more effective using particular types of elements. Maybe he took element affinity, so again, it makes more sense. Well, if you encounter a creature that's immune to that element that you specialize in, you're just kind of pwned.
Wah, wah.
That 15 spells known might drop down significantly, depending.
And most of those spells that are still usable are not going to be the damage spells that they chose.
If you're going to take offensive spells, you're a Draconic Sorcerer, it just kind of makes more sense. Or even the Storm Sorcerer as well. It makes more sense, and you get more bang for your buck by going in a particular direction. Where the Wizard, even if he goes elemental, he still probably has a lot more options on the table. Mm-hmm. And if he knows something's coming up, it's a lot easier for him to go, oh, we're going into the tundra and my cold theme spells probably aren't going to be as useful. Maybe I should go fire. So he kind of has that option to prepare. He can Batman that shit if he needs to.
Right. And again, that goes back to the whole situation of learning additional spells.
Yes, having access to spell books. The sorcerer tends to be the one-hit wonder and sprinter.
It's a very tricky question to always ask who makes the best, because number one, how is your campaign / encounter flow going? With our games, we tend to have very few encounters per session, so therefore the sorcerer, I think, is going to hit the hardest because they have the ability to use all of their sorcery points to make their spells hit harder and do more damage each time that they cast it, and they just get to fuel that back when they rest. Whereas if you're playing an encounter, or if you're playing a campaign where you have encounter before you're going to get a rest, well, then the